Hello and welcome to TUC Half Hour, sponsored by the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria. On the program, we'll bring you insightful discussions and in-depth analysis on the labor movement and key economic challenges facing workers across Nigeria. I am Festus Osifo, and on this episode, we have an interesting conversation coming up. But before then, here is this week's trivia question. When was PENGASSAN, the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, formally established? The answer to that will be revealed before we wrap up the program. Meanwhile, TUC Half Hour will be right back after this break. Do stay tuned.
Comrade Engineer Festus Osifo is the President of the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria and also doubles as the President of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PENGASSAN. Our guest holds a bachelor's degree in Mechanical and Manufacturing Engineering from the University of Portsmouth in United Kingdom with a first-class honors. He is an alumnus of Herod Watts University, Edinburgh, Scotland, where he bagged his master's degree in petroleum engineering. In 2022, he obtained an MBA from the Lagos Business School, Lagos, Nigeria. He holds a certificate in advanced negotiation, industrial relations, and conflict resolution from Harvard University, Cambridge, Massachusetts, USA. Comrade Festus Osifo has spent about 2 decades working in the oil and gas industry in a sterling career spanning Schlumberger Nigeria Limited and Total Energies Exploration and Production Nigeria Limited. He has served on several boards, both in public and private sector. Through his 2 NGOs, Festus Osifo Foundation and Save Our Children Education Initiative, Comrade Festus Osifo has transcended trade unionism to intervening in humanity, mentorship, and leadership development. Our guest is a registered engineer with the Council of Registered Engineers of Nigeria, a member of Nigerian Society of Engineers and Society of Petroleum Engineers.
Welcome back. Nigeria's economy is heavily reliant on the oil and gas sector, which not just fuels our industries, but also dictates the direction of our economic growth and stability. However, that crucial sector still faces a lot of challenges. Joining me now is Comrade Festus Osifo, the National President of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PENGASSAN, a union that has been a key player in Nigeria's oil and gas sector. Today, we'll be looking at his role as National President of such crucial union, as well as other salient issues facing the sector. Comrade, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to actually have you join me again on the program.
Thank you so much, Faiz. I say good evening to you and good evening to your viewers.
Thank you so much. Now let's get straight into it. Nigeria is obviously going through turbulent times, one that we are looking to get out of really soon. However, at the baseline of that is the oil and gas sector, because of the plethora of challenges that is plaguing the sector, going from the fluctuation in oil prices, subsidy removal and all of those things. But as the National President of PENGASSAN, how have you been able to manage your members through such turbulent times, economic times, if I may say?
Yeah, thank you so much, Faiz. As you know, and that's been obvious to Nigerians, that since last year, a lot of challenges had bewildered our economy as a country. And for us in PENGASSAN, the PENGASSAN leadership, we sat down and we looked at what are the things we need to do to ensure that the oil and gas sector remain the jewels, so to say, of the Nigerian economy, so that the workers in that sector will remain prime. Because, you could say this is selfish because, I'm also the president of Trade Union Congress of Nigeria. But my primary constituency as of today is PENGASSAN. And as PENGASSAN president, we have done quite a lot to ameliorate the challenges that our members are facing. If you look at May 29th last year, when the president announced the subsidy was gone, and thereafter the flotation of Naira, so everything went haywire. We were lucky that in the oil and gas industry, the earnings in the oil and gas industry, most especially in the upstream, it's actually in USD because we bring crude from the ground, we sell crude. So, and most of these companies, they earn in United States dollars. Also, the service companies, the companies that provide services to the producing company as well, they also earn in dollars largely. So what we did was that we looked at what happened in 2016 when we had similar challenges. If you remember 2016, the exchange rate as at then moved from somewhere around 180 Naira to $1 to 305, later 360. So it affected literally everything. So when we looked at some of the mistakes that happened in 2016, we tried to correct that. In fact, last year, we had one of the toughest years in terms of industrial relations in the oil and gas industry from the international oil and gas companies that are budgeted to pay, to use certain amount of money because their budget is actually in United States dollars. So they are budgeted to use some certain amount of money in USD to pay our members. So when devaluation happened, they are now going to use less of that money. We told them, no, that you have already budgeted that money to pay our members. You must spend largely that money. In fact, the negotiations, the CBA negotiations in the oil and gas industry took a different turn last year. I could tell you that there are a lot of companies today, both in the upstream and both in the IOCs and those that are providing services, that we have completed their negotiations and they've been really happy. We've had some companies in the upstream that combined, they've had salary increments of 100%. Combined, they've had salary increment of 120%, 150%, and all that. So even just few days ago, I personally attended some of the negotiations of some of the service companies that we have in order to drive home our philosophy. That philosophy is that the Naira was devalued. You are earning in dollars. So you are now using a smaller amount of dollars to meet that same obligation. So for us, you have to do what is right. So this came with a lot of fights. This came, in fact, in some cases, we even have to shut down some of the companies. In some cases, we even had to shut down some of the oil fields in order to drive home our point. Our desire is that over conversations, negotiations are on the table. We ought to have resolved issues like this. But some management, they just don't want to listen. They want to make excess windfall. They want to make excess profit. But we told them no. But by the grace of God, I can confirm to you that PENGASSAN members largely, they are quite protected. They are quite happy with the work that we are doing. But for others that we've not negotiated their CBA, we are still pushing to get them to where those in the IOC, some service companies, and even the ones in the national oil companies where they are today. So relatively, we'll be pushing across board.
Okay, great. Kudos to you actually for being the kind of leader that actually needs at this time. I know that one key topic that has always been on the lips of Nigerians when it comes to issues with oil production and all of that is refineries, right? And there's been a lot of talks about underperformance and inefficiency of refineries. What would you say, from you to me right now, what would you say is the root cause really of these issues, and what steps can we actually take to actually revitalize, the refining sector?
So we've actually had challenges regarding refineries. And the challenges we've had regarding refineries is not because of a lack of manpower. It's not because of a lack of people that are ready to do the job. I can tell you that the employees that have worked in that refineries, they are some of the best you could find anywhere in the world. Upstreams are even much more complex than downstream operations. But the upstreams are largely run by Nigerians, over 95%. That means that Nigerians have the capacity. So it's not a question of capacity. The capacity is there. But it is majorly because of the fact that over the years, those refineries were neglected.
Right.
If you have a car, you park that car for a while. You refuse to do the routine maintenance as when you ought to do it. What's going to happen? That car is going to crash. So basically, that was what happened to the refineries. Because we interviewed some of our members. We asked them what has happened over time. And what we were told was that some of these refineries, when they were in operations, there are periodic maintenance that you ought to do. When you were supposed to do those periodic maintenance, at the end of the day, there is no tool to get those maintenance done. At the end of the day, they will tell you that, oh, they are waiting. They've sent budget for appropriation. They've sent to this, they've sent to that there is no budget to get them done. But you will still be producing petroleum product. You will still be running the refineries. And as you are doing that, you are running it aground. A friend of mine that was employed in the refinery in 2007, he told me that in all his life, he has worked in Port Harcourt refinery all his working life in NNPC. That he has never seen a turnaround maintenance until what started about 2-3 years ago. But every now and then, we hear about turnaround maintenance. But I could tell you that those turnaround maintenance that we were hearing, they were audio turnaround maintenance. They weren't really doing what they ought to do.
So where's the loop coming from?
Data, you said?
So where did the loop come from? The loophole?
Yes. So again, I could say it was the management will and also the political will from the political class. Because at every point in time, we have had ministers of petroleum. And even at times, the president will assume that role of the minister of petroleum. But over time, we've seen that it has not really functioned too well. So that will, from the minister of petroleum to those heading the national oil company, trickles down. Because if I'm a worker, you don't give me the tool to work. You are not expecting me to deliver. It is when you have given me the necessary tools to work, then you can hold me accountable to productivity. This your studio, for example. We are here. We have everything here. The cameras are working. If the cameras are not working, you will not be able to conduct this interview. So the tool that we need, that our members are required to do the job, must be provided. And what we have advocated in PENGASSAN over the years is that government should divest from the refineries and bring about the NLNG model in such a way that the private sector will have 51%, government will have 49%. When that happens, we truly believe that the refinery will run consistently. If you've seen the NLNG, NLNG is a flagship in Nigeria today. The reason LNG is working is because government has the minority shares of 59% or 49% in NLNG. So that's what we have advocated. Now that they said the refineries, that they are maintaining them and that they are trying to rehabilitate them. So what we are saying is that even if you bring in a kind of operation strategy, you bring in a private company to manage the production, to manage the operation aspect, but federal government through NNPC must divest. Right. Give 51% of what is applicable in terms of the shares today to the private sector, then government can retain 49%. When we do that, you will see that refinery will never go down again.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that. We'll continue this conversation after this break.
The Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria welcomes invited guests and members to the third edition of PENGASSAN Energy and Labour Summit, PEELS 2024, with the theme, The Future of Nigeria's Oil and Gas Industry, Energy Mix, Energy Security, Artificial Intelligence, Divestment and Crude Oil Theft. Date is Wednesday, 21st to Friday, 23rd of August 2024 at the Congress Hall Transcorp Hilton, Abuja. Time 10 a.m. daily. Special guest of honor, Minister of State Petroleum, Oil and Gas. Keynote speakers, National Security Advisor, Group CEO NNPC Limited, Commission Chief Executive, Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Authority Chief Executive, NMDPRA. The event will round up with a gala night on Friday, 23rd of August that will see to the presentation of awards in recognition of winners of the PENGASSAN National Essay Competition for secondary schools in Nigeria. Chief host, Comrade Engineer Festus Osifo, President, PENGASSAN. Announcer, General Secretary, PENGASSAN.
Welcome back. Now let's pick it up from where we dropped off before we went on the break. Let's talk about the PENGASSAN Week, an important event in your association's calendar. You have hosted the PENGASSAN Energy and Labour Summit for a while now. Why, or what's the reason behind it?
Yes, thank you so much for that question. About 3 years ago, so the National Executive Council of PENGASSAN thought that we should be having a summit that will talk about both the challenges in the energy sector as well as labor issues. Right. So that was why we came up with what we termed the PENGASSAN Energy and Labour Week, or the PENGASSAN Energy and Labour Summit, PEARLS. So we started this in 2022 and we organized it again in 2023, and here we are today. So this is a platform with which we use in setting agenda for government. Right. This is a platform where we debate government policies, where we debate the framework that is being put in place in the oil and gas sector. So those things we don't agree with, we sum them, we summarize them, and we channel it to government. So it has actually been a platform that a lot of people have come to embrace, that brings the best, the experts in the industry, that brings the regulators, the operators, everybody together in order to debate policies, in order to look at those actions that we needed to take to resolve some of the long-term challenges the industry has faced. For example, last year, the theme of last year, we talked about the downstream section of the Nigerian gas industry as well as gas. So that was the overall theme. So we talked about it. We brought experts from downstream, we brought experts from gas that came, and after the debate, after the conversation, we had a position paper that we were able to push to government.
Okay, great. And you spoke about the theme of last year. You're having a third edition of PEARLS from the 21st to the 23rd of this month.
Yes, correct.
And then the theme is centered around the future of oil and gas sector in Nigeria. Yes. Why that theme? Why is it important?
Yes. If you look at this year, so when you disaggregate what we have there in the theme, we're going to talk about issues bordering on energy security. We are going to discuss issues that are bordering on energy mix. We are going to discuss on issues that are bordering on divestment. We will discuss issues on crude oil theft and all that. Why, for example, energy security? Because as a country, we must be secured in terms of energy. If you look at different parts of the world, they've gone to war just because of energy. If you look at some of the conflicts happening in Middle East today, when you look at the root cause, it's bordering on energy. So how can we be secured in terms of energy? Today, we have the Dangote refinery coming in. Today, we are expecting the Port Harcourt refinery to start producing. If if you look around, we always have queues every now and then because we literally import PMS. So any challenge in the logistics value chain, you are going to have queues everywhere. So how can that sector be better managed? So we are going to discuss that. Then we are also going to look at issues bordering on divestment, because today lots of the IOCs in the oil and gas industry, they are selling their assets. You must have heard about the ExxonMobil and Seplat, sales that is going on. You must have heard as well about the Nigeria Jeep Oil Company and Oando. Same thing, Equinor and Chapa. Then the same thing with Shell and Redezas. So these are topical issues today that our members want to know. What is the position of PENGASSAN? So that is why we are bringing in experts. We are bringing in captains of industry. We are bringing in the regulators. So we'll be expecting Madam Nuhu Ribadu to talk to us on issues that are bordering on security in that sector. The National Security Advisor. We are expecting the regulator, both in the upstream and the downstream. Engineer Gbenga Komolafe is going to be around at well. One of our keynote speakers. Then also Engineer Farouk Ahmed of NMDPRA will also be around as well to discuss with us and share their perspectives and views on what the regulators are doing to ensure that these issues I've talked about are well captured. Then of course, we are going to have one of our keynote speakers. We'll have Mele Kiari, the group CEO of NNPC Limited. So he's going to also be there as one of the keynote speakers. Then we're expecting some of our guests, special guests, of course, the two ministers in the oil and gas industry, Minister of State Oil, Minister of State Gas. Henikin Lopobiri will be expecting him, and Ekpelipe Ikpo. So we are expecting both of them to be there. Then of course the Minister of State Labor. So these are the people that we are expecting. But beyond the government functionaries in the private sector, we are going to have experts from Total Energies, from Chevron, from ExxonMobil, from the service sectors as well. But at the end of the day, we'll come up with a position from PENGASSAN, and this will be submitted to government and we follow through eventually. So this year we are focusing on this. If you look at the two last editions, last year we talked majorly about the downstream and gas development. Then the year before last, we discussed much more on energy security. Then one of the issues that we discussed this year that I've not talked about is actually artificial intelligence. It's part of the sub-theme for this year, because AI is ruling the world today. AI is now being used literally in every sector of the global economy. So we are bringing in experts from all over the world that is going to talk to us about AI and how AI would transform the oil and gas industry and how our members will be prepared as well. Then we'll also talk about the skill gap in the industry. What are the skill sets that we need to possess today for us to be relevant tomorrow? Then to Clemency too, we will bring in some experts in terms of leadership development and performance enhancement. Somebody like Niyi Adesanya is going to be there. Someone like Linus Okori is also going to be there. So it's going to be a packed 3 days event, and we are looking forward to it.
Looks like a summit that is much needed at this time.
Yeah.
I do know that there's going to be an essay competition.
Yes.
What actually informed that? What's the vision behind it, and how do you select winners of the essay?
Yes. So in terms of the essay competition, so we started it with the maiden edition that took place in 2022 as PENGASSAN. So we felt that we should be able to give back to society. We felt that we should be able to give back to Nigerians. That was why we launched the PENGASSAN annual essay competition in 2022. So 2022, we had winners in both. It's actually for secondary school students, JSS 1 and SS1. Those are the people that we are zooming in. So we have thousands of applicants that applies all over Nigeria. So we actually give this to a consultant. So the consultant will invite applicants all over. Then there are processes that will now lead to the eventual winner. And it's one thing that we have done that has given us that happiness and satisfaction. So to climax the event, we will now on Friday, 23rd of August, we are going to have a dinner. So in that dinner, the winner of this essay competition will be unveiled. We have the first, second, third in junior category. We'll have the first, second, third in the senior category. And at the end, we'll also have consolation prizes as well that will be given out to the first 10 students, both in the junior and senior category. So it's a way of us saying thank you, Nigerians. It's a way for us to give back to Nigerians and also contribute to the development of education in Nigeria.
All right, that's quite laudable. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you so much,
on this episode. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
The Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria welcomes invited guests and members to the third edition of PENGASSAN Energy and Labour Summit, PEELS 2024, with the theme, The Future of Nigeria's Oil and Gas Industry, Energy Mix, Energy Security, Artificial Intelligence, Divestment and Crude Oil Theft. Date is Wednesday, 21st to Friday, 23rd of August 2024 at the Congress Hall Transcorp Hilton, Abuja. Time 10 a.m. daily. Special guest of honor, Minister of State Petroleum, Oil and Gas. Keynote speakers, National Security Advisor, Group CEO NNPC Limited, Commission Chief Executive, Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Authority Chief Executive, NMDPRA. The event will round up with a gala night on Friday, 23rd of August that will see to the presentation of awards and recognition of winners of the PENGASSAN National Essay Competition for secondary schools in Nigeria. Chief host, Comrade Engineer Festus Osifo, President, PENGASSAN. Announcer, General Secretary, PENGASSAN.
And that's this week's episode of TUC Half Hour, sponsored by the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria. Before we wrap up, here's the answer to this week's trivia question. PENGASSAN was formally established in November 1979. Thank you so much for joining. Do follow TUC Half Hour across all social media platforms using the handles displayed on your screen. Thank you again. I'm Festus Osifo. See you next week.